Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Doug Doppler, in case we haven't met. Welcome to Doppler's Gear Garage. We do this every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Pacific, and here we are. Braden, good morning to you. Hello, hello, hello. You are awesome, awesome, awesome. So I've got a couple of things planned for today, so we're going to jump right in. First of all, Braden, I apologize. I've still not gotten a chance to watch that video, but feel free, since you're on YouTube there, go ahead and post the link to that video so the wide world can get a chance to see that. Okay, so here's the deal. One of the things we're going to be talking about today is building speed. Because whether you're interested in just pure rubber meets the road or better control when you're hitting slower notes, being able to play faster than you need is one of the things has what I call spillover. Spillover is the idea of you practicing one thing, but the things that you learn from that thing you're practicing spill over to other things that you're working on. So first and foremost, let's take a quick moment and, gosh darn it, we're going to do one of my favorite things ever. It's called Raise 'em Up. Let me know where it is that you're coming from and what it is that you're drinking. Again, in case we haven't met, my name is Doug. I am drinking some Pete's coffee. Technically espresso with a little bit of muscle milk, just to get the energy going. Let me know where it is you're coming from and what it is that you're drinking. Okay. Now, one of the places that I love to work with speed, and some of you have heard me talk about this before, but you know, one of the things that's happening with me these days is I'm spending a huge amount of time really trying to refine some of the things in my technique that have been nagging problems. And you know, the thing about speed and articulation and clarity is we have a tendency, for better and worse, to kind of find a rutted path and hang out there. The benefit of having a rutted path, like the notes of the G major scale on the high E string, is that it gives us a very clear place of kind of where our footsteps are going to lead, or our finger steps, if you will, and finger half steps. But also, there we go, black coffee, Vernon, BC. Gosh darn it. I got to get back to Canada real soon, my friend. All right, so here's the thing. The great thing about working on just one string is it allows you to just get your mechanics instead of having to cross strings. You're just working on getting the left hand and the right hand synchronized. And synchronization... Oh. Good idea to practice it before I do it. So that is the idea. I'm playing a G, A, B, A, and then G, G, A, A, B, B, A, A, and then G, 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 A, 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 B, 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 A, A, and G, 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 A, 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 B, 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 A, 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 A. So the idea is as follows. We take and first of all, good morning, Digital Viper. Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, John Mello. Go Pete's. All right, so the deal is our notes are G, hold a A, hold a B, half to C, hold a D, hold a E, hold a F sharp, half to G, and then we're going to repeat the A and the B on the top. Do me a favor, if you don't have your guitar already, go ahead and grab it. So there, basically, we're taking those first four notes. So we're going to start off with that as our sequence. And then what's going to happen is we're going to go from each one of those sequence up. But we're just going to start off with those guys. So basically that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a, which is Doppler'S. Good morning, Brian Felix. Music video link, awesome. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That's just. Then we're subdividing that as eighth notes. Then there's eighth note triplets. 16th notes. The idea is then you take that up. Which is G-A-B, A-B-C, B-C-D, C-D-E, D-E-F sharp, E-F sharp G, F sharp G-A, G-A-B, B-A-G, A-G-F sharp, G-F sharp E, F sharp E-D, E-D-C, D-C-A, sorry, D-C-B, C-B-A, and B-A-G, the bag. But the idea is you can then drop that in. So on and so forth, and then you can add some speed to that. And then you can also go. So, I cut one short there. So the idea here is not about playing fast. But making it such that whatever you're playing, because we're doing these different subdivisions, your right hand and your left hand are kind of going, oh, we're thinking about rhythm. And this is one of the interesting things as guitar players. I am steaming my glasses. We have a tendency not to really think about what we're doing rhythmically. That's not to say that we're unaware of it. But what's neat about an exercise like this is it just kind of allows you to kind of go, okay, there are where my different subdivisions are. And it's a super important of just ability to just kind of go, let me just do some stuff with my right hand. So you're just kind of going, am I able to have that control? And if you're not able to do it at that speed, no flipping problem. The idea, and this is one of the things, there's a video that I'll be making sooner than later. Shh. By the way, I see some other people who've crept in here. Is that Nandini? Good morning, Nandini. Hello, hello. Hello, Braxel. Good morning to you. Hello, hello, hello. See if I can carry on with my glasses on and not steam them in the process. But the idea, this right hand thing, of really just getting your subs going, just allows you to have a connection. One of the other things I really want to speak to in the midst of all of this, and I want to thank my student David Lewis, because it was in one of those lessons that we had this part of this conversation. When you're doing this, I'm going to lose the delay here is what I'm going to do. Cardinal sin. I turn off the delay. I'll leave a little reverb. But the idea is really... rather than just going with the right hand, really kind of going quarter, you can really translate it on a tactile sense. You can really feel it. Feel that point of connection with the string, and when you're doing a down, up, 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 downy up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. I almost started calling 16 down, up, down, up, down, up. So you can really kind of feel that with the right hand, and So we're not just kind of arbitrarily playing stuff, but the right hand and the left hand, we're kind of going, oh, there's this point of connection. All right, so the other thing about this guy, especially when you're at your 16th note, the hard part of this isn't because we're really just going, and we're going. But the hard part is going, which is the transition between. So I would suggest taking and that is to say I'm going G, A, B, A, A, B, C, B. Brett Van V, good morning, my man. Oh, excellent. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Michael, what's going on? Jimi Hendrix steamed his glasses all the time. You're in good company. Thank you, Mike. I received that. Holy cow. Mike Rand, good morning. Hello. All right, so again, what we got is G, A, B, A, and A, B, C, B, and then C, B, A, B, and B, A, G, A. So, and so the idea is, there we go. So the idea is the hard part is this right there. So for this practice going, we talked about this, I think, last week. And I think I did it as one quarter notes. Eighths. Eighth note triplets. 16th notes. And the idea is that's that transition. So now, in terms of the way back down, so let me hear everybody go. So that A note there is the point of connection. Then when we flip it around, we're going to go in the opposite direction. And that B note is the point of connection. Now, here's the tricky part. We're starting off with a pinky. We end up with that third finger, and then we have to jump to the pinky there, which is the weak finger. So we're going to practice going. It's going to be third finger to fourth. So it's because that's taking. That is to say, slowly. That bit right there, that little transition is the hard part. So the idea is just going, initially. So I flipped it around. Sorry. Try it again in English. Quarter notes. Eighth notes. Eighth note triplets. 16th notes. Cut one short. So there. So we got as that. And that bit is the part where that transition, once you get that and that's where that transition, the smoothness comes from. All right, so let's check in here real quick. Jace Griffin, rather. I thought Gary Moore did a great job of what you're articulating on Loner and Carlos Santana. Tana does as well. So here's the thing. Like I said, I'm really glad you brought that up. Let me just check in real quick. What's going on, Jason? Great to see you. My man, did you say you'd moved over to Stratch? Is that correct? Oh, DeJoy. Amir, hey, what's going on? Hello to Sweden. Thank you very much. Awesome, and thank you. I think this is your first time, so welcome aboard, everybody. Give Amir a big Round of applause and say hi down in the chat if you'd be so kind. Okay, so a couple of things. So first of all, you got... that's one of the places we hear this most, but the idea is really... as we begin to do that, yes, sort of. Because when we go to play stuff, one of the important things about playing and practice, the connection between the three main areas, we got our learning phase, we got our practice phase, and we got our playing phase. And the playing phase, I think we can include glorified noodling inside the playing part of it, right? Because we're kind of then trying to really, we've got this, and we talked about this last week, but we have this process that's an ongoing process. And if we're conscious of how we engage those different parts of the process, and if we find that one of them is like the glorified noodling part is stronger than the other, we kind of go, at what detriment does that happen? And the idea is, as you go to play different things on the... One of the things I'm really working on, and it's... especially with the threes, been a little... is the string transition, because that is the hard part, which is why we're starting on just the single string part of this, but getting that motor running with the right hand. And the other thing, and I probably should have mentioned this before, good morning, Sean. Great to see you. Hello, hello, hello. Excellent, excellent. Oh, I missed Andrew. Good morning. How you doing? The right hand, a lot of people have a variation of different approaches to the right hand. Sometimes you've got the windshield wiper. Sometimes there are, things where people will anchor the pinky. Brad, what's going on, my man? Hello, hello, hello. That guitar is pretty, isn't it? And I think Sean Varley would be inclined to agree. All right, so the thing is this, is that if you can, lift your right hand up in the air with a pick attached. Albert, good morning. Sonny, good morning. Look at all my dear friends here. Let your right hand just gently dangle down and just move it back and forth like that. That's really the most natural picking motion you could ever have, and that's really what we're ideally looking for. Regardless of whether you're... And that's one of the great things about doing this tremolo stuff, is you're working the right hand, just getting... And so initially, again, we're talking about... And the idea is that's preparing us for... And the idea is as follows. This right hand stays loose... regardless of whether you're playing slow or faster. And the idea of being able to take... allows the right hand to just kind of go, okay, it's just me. And you're not having to worry about any of the left-hand mechanics until we actually go to integrate them. Real men love pink strats. Okay, Dennis, what's going on? Good morning. And by the way, Albert, I kind of, you've been missed, my friend. Great to see you. Hello, hello. All right. And Sonny, always a pleasure, of course. So the deal is, this exercise, initially what I was going to do was kind of go through some modal madness today. So I'm going to briefly touch on this. So any of you who are modal maniacs, Brett, if we were to take this as the G major scale, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, and we're adding the A and the B on the end there. And we were to turn that into the Dorian mode instead of going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3. We'd go 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7, 1, 2, flat 3. So that in this. And Phrygian. And Lydian. Cut it short and mix, Lydian. And minor. And we can't leave out Loquin. Now, the whole thing about this is what's neat about it is I love to do what I call layering. That is to say, the main thing we're really working on is getting the left hand and the right hand going. But if we can add some modal madness to it, switching between the 7 modes, it, one, makes it a little bit more mentally stimulating, and 2, allows us to be practicing a couple of things. One of the big things that I'm working on in the background, I got some comments here. Hang on a second. Is hammer-ons and pulling. And I'm not, and open strings, I should say. I'll be in G major. I'm going to G minor. No, G Dorian. G Dorian. B flat. By the way, that's the good thing about going through is G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. G, A, B flat, C, D, E, F, G. If I can play the right note. E. By the way, mistakes can be a good thing, because if you know you're aiming for the E and you keep hitting the E flat, let's say 2, flat, 3, 4, 5, 6, which would be G, A, B flat, C, D, E, not E flat. All of a sudden, you kind of added some other flavors to this, and this is part of the thing about, ooh, I love this, noodle practice. That sounds nasty. The idea is what we're doing is we're taking this glorified noodling, and then we're going, well, what if we kind of bring this back into some sort of practicing where we kind of lay it. So we're going to just go. That's kind of fun. That's going to be a 16th note kind of go. That is we're going to go G, A, and B flat with the open E. Now, technically, sounds to me like we're in E Phrygian. Which is, again, kind of this whole concept of a glorified noodle practice. And this is, again, where this leads into, because the articulation of that's a slightly strange figure, right? So it's basically 4 up and 3 down. I should say 2 down. Oh, right. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4. That doesn't say, let me rephrase, forget the up and down business. That's really, well, okay. this is a 6-figure. And it's got 4 notes on the way up and 2 notes on the way down. We play that twice. And then we play a 4-figure. 6 and 6 and 4 is 16. And you can and just take the 4 and there's another little thing just for pisses and giggles. So basically I've got 3 spots. And you can think of that as that's kind of 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. So I basically go 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th. Then I go 1st, 2nd, 1st, 2nd, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th. And you can if you want to just kind of turn it into a 3-note riff, you were playing the open I E string in G, A, and B flat, it would be. That's G as the 1st of 4 16th notes. A is the 1st of 4 16th notes. B flat there with the pinky as the 1st of 4 16th notes. And A is the 1st of 4 16th notes. And loop that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that twice. And I'm just going to go back and forth between that G and the A. Twice. And then back to the G, A, B flat, A. So it's all together as... So it's got 4 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4. All together. So on and so forth. So now all of a sudden, again, this kind of this strange blend between it's practice, it's noodling, it's shredding, it's all of those things, because we're going to go, oh, there's a lick here, right? You know? B flat. B flat. Oh, because I was hitting the open B string. That's why I went to that. So I changed keys. My bad. All right. Let me jump back into the chat here real quick. Just 1 second here. All right. Albert, I'm so glad to see you. Hello, hello. You have been missed. Si, senor. Dennis, hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Much appreciated, you as well. Okay, good, 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 good. All right, there we go. I've gone backwards in the chat. It happens. Pink guitars rule. There we go. Thanks, Dennis. All right, it's been an to CJP. It's been an okay. So here's an interesting thing. So let me what all that, if you're looking on a mobile device, looks like about that big. My biggest right hand influence probably would have been Al Di Meola, right? If you just looked at Al, because he was really the first guy with the right hand, everybody went, "Oh, holy flipping cow!" Right? And the thing about Al is his slow speed looked like that, and his fast speed looked like that. And it's like, you know, I've been quoting this a lot. The Harry Met Sally. I'll have what he's having. I've spent decades attempting. That's a Di Meola lick. That's a 10. But the thing about Al, that right hand was always super loose. So there was one of the camps where there was a guy who did this kind of elevated slightly the Van Halen, but it had this little bit of this little twist thing, and John was fascinated. I was kind of watching the whole thing go down. And there's a thing that happens there. However, in my opinion, not to contradict Mr. Petrucci, what you do slowly, ideally should be identical to what you're doing faster, unless you want it to be different, right? There's also something with my trusty. Watch me pull my little friend out of my pocket. So my little friend here is probably set at, well, 160, which to me is kind of well, actually, this is the upper spot of what I call a ramp up. So much of my metronome practice starts at 80 and goes up to, wait for it, 160. So basically, I start off at a nice slow tempo. And the great thing about ramp up practice is it allows you that guy, and you just bump. Or sorry, that's the figure we want. You bump it up. And the thing about that sort of ramp-up practice is it leaves signs in your playing. And I can hear this as a teacher when I hear somebody that's been practicing with the metronome. There is a meticulousness. And again, the idea is not to, if you're not an Al Di Meola fanatic like I am, there's a certain, how do I say this? There are certain people that Al's meticulousness versus I'm purposely leaving it a little bit greasy. People who love the greasy stuff, they don't always want to go to the French Laundry, and I totally get that. However, in terms of lessons learned, getting that right hand and that left hand together, that's where that metronome and metronomical practice really it begins to shine through. And there's a confidence that also comes when you feel like your left hand and your right hand are kind of nicely synced together. That begins to bleed through. And again, this whole concept of spillover, the things that we do when we're working on our meticulous practice are really important because that confidence begins to spill over, and we just kind of go, oh, I can play that, and you just try and do stuff that you might not normally have gone through. So all that to say, first of all, that kind of there are certain things you can do at a certain speed. The challenge is, and I think for most people, first of all, most people aren't John Petrucci, and that other guy has a serious, really cool thing going. I was like, all right, that's cool, but my initial instinct, especially as a teacher, is going, you know what? I want to be able to show people, just keep that right hand relaxed. That's what I'm trying to do. There we go. So the idea is that same subdivision. There we go. I cut the last notes short. The idea of getting that right hand just going on its own, such that when we go to mesh, those fingers together where the right hand and the left hand together, then they're in sync because they've kind of had that a chance to kind of really get to know each other just with the right hand on its own, and then kind of blending those different subdivisions there. I don't want to wear that out. Chris Alexander, you made it. Hello, my friend. Always a pleasure. So thank you very much. So this is my was my birthday present to myself. It's a funny thing because there are lots of Gibson Les Pauls over there, but the kind of that little kind of red, whatever it is, it's fuchsia. I like that guitar so much. I've always wanted a black Les Paul standard. And so this guitar, I think, was $599. So I bought it, and I absolutely love it. And, you know, this is another thing, is what we're going to talk about this for a quick second. Okay, well, my number one, actually, this is my number 2 guitar right here. This is the second V. So you can see that kind of that hum canceling P90. This has got the floating Floyd Rose, got a mini P90 or a mini humbucker in the neck, and then that's the Satch track in the middle position. That guitar smokes. But the interesting thing is those guitars are set up with 9s, 9 through 42, using a Dunlop heavy core string. So I've told this story before at Corey Wong's guitar camp. Matteo Mancuso wandered into my room and spent the better part of like 20 minutes there, and so I handed him my guitar, and I so wanted to take a photo of him playing my guitar, but I'm like, I'm not going to be that guy. I'm not going to be that guy. But he ended up saying, it's like, gosh, it feels like it's 10s on there, and I was like, there it is, especially for somebody who has that kind of tactile thing. But what's been really neat about playing these guitars that come with 10 through 46, and I put the heavy core on here as well, it's really been helping getting my right hand and my left hand on the bottom 2 strings, because that's what that's where the most difficulty, that little transition there is nasty business. So in any case, that's my new guitar, and I'm very enamored. I digress. Great guitar. All right. Andrew, the open strings gives a serious... Oh, so... yes, it absolutely does. So, when I was in oh, sorry, I was a B flat. Oh, I see. That's not E Phrygian. We have fallen in love with. And somebody out there was kind enough not to call me out. That's E Lokrig. That's that same lick I was playing before. That I have you to think, because I never played that before. It's the other thing about speed. There's a certain point that you hear that pick going fast enough, and you're like, oh. That's it. The speed of just the pick. I digress. All right. Gosh darn it. Adam, good morning. Hello, 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 hello. Jose, buenos dias, amigo. Or Fawn, maybe that's... I don't speak Tagalog. Jose, let me know. Is Fawn an Espanol or Tagalog? Or I should say, is... where are you from? And Nick, good morning. Hello, hello, hello. CRM, good day. I think you're a new person. Welcome aboard. I'm Doug. Nice to meet you. Albert. Oh, that's an Epiphone. Still nice. That's hilarious. Oh, it's an Epiphone. Oh. Oh, you have leprosy. All right. So, there was another question. First of all, is there any questions about any of this business? Oh, not like that. It's another thing that I have a tendency to do sometimes. I just want to talk about 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E. So I sometimes will do that on the and of 4. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and well, 3, 4. So it's got a pickup. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's... That's just 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and... And that's just in G major. And it sounds different than 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a... That sounds more like an exercise on 1, 2, 3, 4. That's in thirds, not well played, but... Oh, that's hard. Okay, so the idea is you're taking... And again, that same transition we talked about before. That fourth note becomes the first note of that one. Ah. Yeah, you got it. I have to work on that. The idea, though, I'm going to switch this around, make it a little easier. That's basically going to be G, B, A, G. That sets us up. The transition is always going to be on the first finger. Let me hear you play that. A little faster. There we go. And that's... I knew I was going to run into trouble up there. I'll have to work on that. But the idea is you're just going up. And you're... I would say just going... Just getting that transition. Do fours. Slowly. Then twos. One. Not like that. Then go between. That's kind of. I'm going to play those eighth notes once. And then 16th notes twice. Probably should figure these things out before we start this on a Saturday. But this is, again, this whole point about kind of this, let's call it practice noodling, right? Because then you're really kind of going, how do you outwork some new chop? Because, you know, most of us have some sort of regular lick that we might play. By the way, do me a favor, take the, hang on just one second. I see, learning to write songs is something more guitarists need to learn. That's true. We will do an episode on songwriting. How about that? What's going on, Ramiro? How you doing? Ramiro, excuse me. Better every time I see you. And your awesome photos. All right, so the deal is this little guy is a great little kind of a little kind of, because it ends at the root there, you're just basically going up G major in pairs of strings. You're going to move up from the top two strings of G major down the top two strings of A Dorian. So we're going, resolving at the G. And then there, that F sharp there at the 14th fret. To that G at, well, we're still at the 14th fret, we're bending to the note, the 15th fret. So that's say if you're going to take G major 3-note per string. Thanks, Griffin. So the tricky part right there, the transition, yeah, right, follow the Yellow Brick Road. So basically that's A, B, and C with the first and fourth. D, C, and B with the fourth, second, and first. Wow, that's a great exercise. We're going to back up a step. All right, so if you took that... Took that guy and went... Oh, that's a mother. So the idea is we're going up the first three and down the second three. 4 times. Not like that. And so really, you kind of think of a lead finger. First finger, fourth finger. First, fourth, first, fourth, first, fourth. That is hard, but it's a great exercise. So getting back to that, that's the transition. So that's paying the... I may have that diagram here. Hang on a second. Do we have the 3-note per string major fingering anywhere? Let me check. I may have an old... You. No. You. No. You? There we go. That guy right there. So it's the G and the 3 indicate that the lowest note is written. It looks like it's at the first fret, but it's visually incorrect in that sense. But per the G and the 3, kind of over there, indicating that your first finger is played at G at the 3rd fret. So basically, you take the 6th string, 5th string, 5th string and 4th string, 4th and 3rd, 3rd and 2nd, 2nd and 1st. You can do it with legato, alt hammer rows and pull off, that is. Or you can alternate pick, which is what we're doing with this guy. And I don't have the A Dorian fingering there. If you look at those 2 notes and those 2 notes right there, there's a note that's a whole step below. There and there. There's a note that's a whole step above. There. So you see these guys. I'll keep hearing the follow. Follow the yellow road. And what's neat about that is just a pretty straightforward little wheedly. You can end there. But that little note there, or if you want to play it over on the 2nd string, it's a nice little way to kind of get your wheedly on. And yes, by the way, if you're in the key of G major, well, what about A Dorian? Well, guess what? So what's great about this kind of lick, let's get out of there, G major, go away, is that you can take and just cut and paste it. So that's taking the same concept for A Dorian. and B Phrygian. And this is, again, kind of one of the things about this kind of this noodle practice. So that's once, resolve, twice resolve, then twice down, and then one more on the resolve, kind of like, and I have a tendency to do a lot of this. There'll be 4 times I'll play through the sequence. The third time will be a variation. So this is first, second, third, fourth. All right, you get the idea. All right, let me get back into the chat here real quick. Okay. Hello, Sayuru. Welcome aboard. I don't think you've been here before. Name's Doug. Nice to meet you. Hello. Isn't this a great sounding guitar? And yes, that is my trusty Ibanez. What are you? You are a... It's a part of the sound gear line, but I don't remember the exact model. But I love that bass. And in any case, welcome aboard. Great to see you. My hands are just ever so slightly clammy today. It happens. All right. Anybody got any questions? Questions? Any thoughts? Comments? Okay. Bueller. All right. So what I think I'm going to do, I want to go back to this last thing before we move on. I'm going to actually jump to one of the questions that Chris Alexander kindly put through earlier. Chris, bless his dear soul. You still here, buddy? So he was asking, are there any exercises that I practice working with chords moving up and down the neck? And by the way, I saw a couple new people popped in there. Hello, Doug. Nice to meet you. You got any questions about anything? Gear, practice routines, guitar? Fire them away. All right, so here's the deal. Is that one of the questions Chris asked is, first of all, I did a DVD almost 20 years ago called Diatonic Theory and Harmony. One of the important things, just like these kind of linear scale things. Chris, hey, all right, there we go. Thanks for sending your question through. I always appreciate your input. He was asking about any chord things that I practice up and down the neck. And the triad chord relay, for anybody out there, and somebody mentioned songwriting. If I think about a song always has a bass note movement. That's basically, in this case, I'm in the key of E minor. So I'm basically taking this framework of triads, and what I'm based around is the 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 chord. Then I'm going to the 4 chord. I'm going to tune it just a second. And I'm going to go to the 3 chord. And the 5 chord. Hey, thanks, Marcel. I appreciate it. Pleasure to meet you, my friend. Welcome aboard. I'm going to give the strings a little bit of stretch, so hopefully the tone will be a little bit tonier with the guitar that's in tune here. Here we go. So the idea is having a framework of knowing kind of the relationship between the bass notes and the type of chord. And that is the basic movement where we're going, basically, we think about the key of basically G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, and we play that over here on the fourth string, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, and we harmonize that, the G, and we skip a note, and we go from the G, skip A, go to B, and we play that B over here. We basically then have this major scale harmonized in thirds. That's G and B, A and C, B and D, C and E, D and F sharp, E and G, and F sharp and A, and G and B. And if we not only do that, we take the third and we add the fifth. We play the thirds and the fifths at the same time. We end up with these triads. And the majority of the chord progressions you play use this form and this relationship of this major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished major, which you can think of as the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. So the chord progression I was laying out was the 6 chord, 4 chord, 3 chord, 5 chord. Playing it, now that I've dropped my pick, I should have another one of those lying around. There we go. And so I'm taking this little minor chord and I'm dressing it up a little bit, turning it into a minor add 9. It's one of my favorite chords ever. That's a C major 13 sharp 11. And basically that chord is just screaming. Lydian. That's a B minor 11. Basically it's a minor 7. But instead of playing that 5 in the second octave, I'm playing the 4. And the way it works is if you're... And Chris, actually, one of the other questions was asking a little bit about upper partial. So I'm going to briefly talk about this. Griffin, you're a rock star. Thank you so much. If we were to take the major scale and think of it as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If we play the 1, the 3, the 5, or the 7, as in the 1, 3, 5, and 7 in the second octave, there's still a 1, 3, 5, 7. But if we take the 2, the 4, or the 6, as in the 2, 4, 2, 4, and 6, got to play the right notes, they become the 9, 11, and 13. So this is a minor add 9, which means I've taken the 2 and I played it in the second octave. And there's the flat 3. So the voicing this is 1, 5, 9, flat 3. This guy, this major 13 sharp 11 is 1, 5, 6, 3, sharp 11, 7. Then this minor 11 is a 1, flat 7, flat 3. Instead of playing the 5, we're playing the, and this is why I explain this, is instead of going 1, flat 7, flat 3, 5, I'm going 1, flat 7, flat 3, 11. And somebody be like, if that was the 5, how is that the 11? Well, that's how that's the 5, and that's the 11. Or in this case, a minor 11. And then, and then I went to some sort of, which is kind of a Hendrix out, kind of a Hendrixy, kind of inverted, kind of major chord. And then you can, and that right there is really like a B major, you could look at it a couple of different ways. I'm seeing it as, instead of a B major, I'm seeing it as a B sus2 over D sharp, but really what's happening is it's really kind of like a B major, where I'm playing what would be the 9 in the second octave. And that basically brings us into harmonic minor. That will be the funniest thing anybody has said today. I love that. That's just hilarious. So I got to copy this because this is the interesting thing is that there are a lot of people that are just like, music theory. I just want to play guitar, and I totally feel the whole kind of like, hey, you know what? If it feels good, and it sounds good, then I want to play it, right? So I feel you on that. So thanks for that. I appreciate it. Gilberto, you warm my heart every time. Thank you. Tomo Fujita. Holy cow. Holy cow. Hello, my dear friend. Oh, now I'm nervous. Everybody knows Tomo, so I don't have to make an introduction. But if there's ever a kind of come in at the perfect moment, that was come in at the perfect moment. Thank you, my friend. So all right. So the point being is that here what we're doing is we're kind of going, hey, how do we use this framework of chords to set up something musical? So you're basically going, hey, I have my bass note movement. Because everything is driven by the bass note movement. And if we add that other chord, and then you're just adding stuff. And then that's where you kind of now have a musical playground to work with. All right, I want to talk about something. And Tomo, if you're still hanging in here, you and I sometime are going to have a sidebar about this. Micromodality. What in the world is micromodality, and how does it pertain to everybody, including folks like Sayuru? So the deal is, when we're playing over the root chord, the notes out of that E minor scale are, if you will, they're adorning the root of the progression. So if I play, for example, the root, point of resolution, the 2 tension, flat 3 resolution, 4 tension, but not as bad as the 2, 5 resolution, flat 6, definite tension, flat 7, holy cow, let me get out of there. But the great thing about that, you can lead the listener you know where it's going to go. So the point being is that tension exists against that chord, because that's the root chord of the progression, the 6. But when we go to the 4 chord, although we're not in the key of C Lydian, we're in the micromodality of C Lydian, which means that for a minute, the overarching resolution of the chord progression is that E minor. But when we're here, still feels a lot like C Lydian. Feels a lot like B Phrygian, D Mixlin. That's going to be E harmonic minor there. So the point being is that being aware of what is happening inside that Lydian mode as compared to a major scale, which goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. It goes 1, 2, 3, sharp 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. So if you're really wanting to kind of go to bring the listener in, it brings it there. So in any case, Steve Garanowski, hello, my friend. Great to see you. I mean that so hard to play the way you're playing with emphasizing certain notes with increased intensity. It adds more of a lot to the feeling. Okay, that right there. So, short version. I'm in the middle of working on a pentatonic course. You have outlined the essence, regardless of whether it's pentatonic, modes, it doesn't matter what it is. That is the essence of why Chris's question was brilliant. So, when I'm playing over this E chord, technically an E minor chord, I could play any of the notes of that E minor scale. Short version. We're relative to the key of G major. The notes are G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. If I started off that G note, that's the G major scale. That, if I start off the A note, A Dorian, off the B note, B Phrygian, C Lydian, D mixed Lydian, E minor, F sharp Locrian, and G major. So that E minor is another way of saying I'm starting some major scale off of its 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th degree. That just means off its 6th note, right? So then we just take the notes of that major scale starting from its 6th note. In this case, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, starting from E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D, and E. The most important notes that you want to pay attention to are the 1st, 3rd, and 5th notes of that scale. Because those are the majority of the time, those 3 notes are the notes that get embellished with other notes and so the idea is you're playing your phrase, the E, the G, and the B of that E minor chord. So once you just clinically go, all right, G, B, D, A, C, E, B, D, F sharp, C, E, G, D, F sharp, A, E, G, B, F sharp, A, C, and G, B, D, you actually know, all right, when I'm playing over the G chord, I'm looking for a G, B, and a D. Over the A chord, I'm looking for an A, C, and E. That is say, that note right there, I guarantee you, is an A. And na, 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 that's a C. Na, 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 na. The great thing about that chromatic note, even though it's not in key, really made you want to go to that 5 because the way I played it. And the point being is that's how you just clinically learn to, first of all, go by being able to go hearing and then going 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7, 1, 1, flat 3, 5, 1, and also going minor 3rd, perfect 5th, octave. Now what we've done is we've taken the fingering part. We've also then taken the fingering part there, but the ear is listening to that. Then we begin to label it 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7, 1, 1, flat 3, 5, 1. So now what we've done is we've taken the fingering part. We're still listening, but we're going, hey, that's my 1, flat 3, 5, 1. And then we think about it as a minor 3rd, perfect 5th, octave. So now our ear, by thinking of it as a minor 3rd, we've now described harmonically what's going on there. So we've now got the physical, we got the mental, and we've got the harmonic all kind of firing at the same time. That is to say, the biggest challenge most people have is when they go that I know which notes I'm going for that one. And that note. And that one. And that's the 1, flat 3, and 5, and that's the A, C, and E. Now, sorry, I left out that other part. A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, A, C, E, and E. So we now know which notes we're aiming for. So this is we're up the neck. We're looking for that A, C, Jimmy Page knew a thing or two. Well, guess what's happening there? One of the greatest rock riffs guess what? He's in the minor pentatonic. Sorry. But that note is not in the A minor pentatonic. The correct note would be the E note. But guess what's happening? So in the same way we went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. Thank you, Chris Alexander. 6, 5, and 4. The only spot on these triads, we got 2 major chords a whole step apart, is if you're playing the chords that start off the 4th and 5th degree of the major scale. And the great thing about that is that's kind of the unlock code, because many progressions have that relationship of chords in them, including Stairway to Heaven. 2 major chords a whole step apart. Funny that's in the same key. That obviously is Rush, right? So the idea is this. If you look at major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, the only spot where you got the 2 major chords, a whole step apart, that's 4 and 5. So when you see them, almost always it's going to be the 4 chord and the 5 chord, which means which is our point of resolution for this chord progression at least, is going to be the 6th chord. But what's happening? No, da 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 da. Jimmy Page, he's resolving to the bass note of the chord, so he's moving out of the minor pentatonic and playing that F there, because, you know, probably my favorite story is to tell. And Robert Plant looked over and went like, "What do you?" It's not the real story, but the point was like, "Don't play that. No, play the F." But what happened is Jimmy Page in his infinite wisdom already knew to play the F, because it just like, well, you're just kind of going, that's where you want to go to. So how do you learn how to do this? You just clinically go, okay, we got an E minor chord progression, E minor, C major, B minor, D major, and over the E minor, C major, over the B minor, the D major. And then you should be able to, and it can sound a little clinical at first, but what we're doing is we're training our ear, our fingers, and our brain. And I'm going to create what's called a motif. I'm basically going, and it'll be something I'm going to cut and paste. Basically, if this is the 1, flat 3, and 5, I'm just going to call the 1, the 3, the 3, and the 5, the 5. You know, it's going to be a flat 3. 1, 3, 3, 1, 5. 1, 3, 3, 1, 5, 1, 3, 3, 1, 5, 1, 3, 3, 1, 5. And it's going to be the same. And what we're doing is, first of all, we're trying to make it so it doesn't like, because that sounds like stupid. Nobody wants to practice something that sounds stupid, but a motif. And then what you can begin to do, we're going to work in the opposite direction of the way we might normally solo, which is this. We're going to add on to these and you just get used to hearing, and most important word, feeling where those notes are. In any case, I hope that's a help. But your comment was really, I'm going to copy that one as well, because that really is, and it's just kind of the essence of what, as a music educator, I'm trying to get people to get to, because that's the magic. It's when you, first of all, one of my favorite examples. But what's happening there? Oh, that's the one chord. We're in the key of B. 1, 3, 4, 5. So there's your major triad of the one chord. Then what's happening? That's your 4 chord. You're at the 3, 2, and 1 of that 4 chord. You're at the 6, flat 7, 5 of the 5 chord. So although he's kind of walking through some of the other notes, the money notes, that's 1, 2, 3. That's the octaves. 7, 6, 1. So what's interesting is that creates tension. That's resolved there. So you don't have to resolve every one of those chords / those micro modalities. That's the 4 chord. That's the Lydian mode. Doesn't resolve it. Which is like he's like, you can't get any more resolved than the root of the chord, and that's the 5. So, first of all, he's the number 1 selling instrumental guitar player of all time. Number 2, he knows a thing about a thing or two, but the thing is, he managed to make it be musical, because as the other person pointed out, it's like, well, what about writing a song, right? Because ultimately, there are lots of brilliant guitar players all over the planet. But how do you write a song that's memorable? That, probably more people have walked down the aisle to that song than any modern instrumental. What makes that magic is the melody is there. The other thing is, even though it's not "Oh, When the Saints" or "When the Saints come marching in," it still has, there are only so many different ways you can put the notes together around the 1, 3, and 5, and kind of, before you kind of go, oh, in fact, it's one of the things that, you'll see me do frequently in here. Right, meow 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 meow. So the point being is, I probably played that like 4-ish weeks in a row as I've been just kind of noodling through something. All right. Oh, there's more comments here. Hang on a second. Joran, great to see you. Oh, awesome. Happy dance. Yes. We celebrate that. Wait a second. Is there love and space only when I see you? Hello, Rick. Great to see you, my friend. Well, I guess there's love and space even when I don't see you, but great to see you, my friend. Hello. Eric, good morning. The funny thing is, I was saying to Melissa, so one of the things that really warms my heart the most, we're going to talk about that in a second, is the people that got a comment, oh, I'm joining late. And I'm like, it's such an affection. It's a sign of, first of all, you and I have met in person. So there is that. But many of the people that I know from this, we haven't met in person. So one of the beautiful parts about that is there's this kinship that happens. I've got to thank my good friends at YouTube and Facebook, and they bring people closer together, even who don't necessarily know each other, which I think is pretty cool. In any case, I'm banking on it. Come on. Yes and amen. Chris, thank you. So again, I'm going to keep going through here in just a second. So, Chris, first of all, because I'm gonna get this. It's a concept called the pitch axis that I want to make sure that we touch. Hang on a second. I know it's going to be on the stream here, but one of the things I am manically doing these days is I'm putting little ideas. Thank you. We're going to call that pitch axis. That is called pitch axis with a P. Keep it nice. All right. Axis as in axis of good as opposed to axis, woodshedding axis. All right. So the deal is, Chris brought that question through about these guys. The other thing about this is if you think about, our cat is happy now, holy cow. All right, so if you think about these triads, and you think about the distance from the 1 to the 2, and the 2 to the 3, and 3 to the 4, and the 4 to the 5, and the 5 to the 6, and 6 to the 7, and 7 to the 1, from the 7 to the 1 is a half step, which means the 1 has a natural 7. And the 2, because from the 2 to the 1, the 2 has a flat 7. And the 3 has a flat 7 and a 4, because that's half step from the 4 to 3. If you look at the bass note, and you go up to the octave, it's going to echo that. So that's why we take that major triad and we add the natural 7. That's the 2 to the 1, minor triad. That's the octave. And that's basically going from the 2 to the 1. When we basically take that note right there, that gives us a minor 7, 1 flat 3, 5 flat 7. That's if you look at the distance between the root of the chord you're playing and the note below it, that's going to tell you what type of 7 you've got. Because going backwards, that's 1, 7, 6. So half step, natural 7. Take your major triad, add natural 7. We're at the 2, whole step to the 1. Minor triad, there's the octave, there's the 2, and there's the 1 up the octave. Minor 7. Same thing for the minor 7. 4 is a major 7. Sorry, so for the 3, 4 is a major 7 to 5 because you got a major triad, but from the 5 to the 4 is a whole step. That's why it has a flat 7 in combination with a natural triad and a flat 7. It's a dominant 7. Minor 7 and minor 7, flat 5, and major 7. Collectively, that's major 7, minor 7, minor 7, major 7, dominant 7, minor 7, minor 7, flat 5, major 7, major 7, minor 7, flat 5, minor 7, dominant 7, major 7, minor 7, minor 7, major 7. It's a lot easier to play it than it is to say it. Oh, I'm not getting my 7s in clearly. And these guys right here, really kind of this unpleasant thing where the second finger is kind of inverting that arch if you're able to do that. But you can also take that voicing, which is 1, 3, 5, 7, and go 1, 7, 5, 3. Same notes. That's G, B, D, F sharp, and this is G, F sharp, B, and D. So if you look at these guys, those notes are in the same place, but we're taking that note, moving it down an octave, and we're taking that note and moving it to there. And now we still have, per Chris's comment, chord progressions that now we can take these larger, and that minor 11 chord that I played there. And instead of playing major 7, I added the 6. And instead of playing the 5 there, I added the sharp 4. And I put the 5. Still a little out of tune. Come on, what's going on here? Come on, be nice. Be nice. It's a Saturday. All that to say, that bass note movement thing is still there. So I can now take that same, and I'm going to come back to that pitch axis thing in a minute. That 6 chord. And I can play it with these. Oh, sorry, I went to the 3 chord. And instead of playing that major chord, I can play a dominant 7. I can take that. It may not be the coolest progression in the world, but the idea is we're taking that same bass note movement and we're moving with it. Shredword, good morning, my friend. Hello, hello, hello. I love that photo, by the way. All right, Joran, been woodshedding, trying to broaden placing on the fretboard and finding what sounds right while trying to figure out the theory that I know which scale shapes go where, and it's so helpful. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Modes make more sense, and actually been much more useful. Much appreciated, with pleasure. That sounds very familiar with that guy. Shakes that shaky thing at the beginning. Try and find the name. Trying to find the name. Hello, Matt. I was thinking of you yesterday. I should have shot you a text. How you doing, my friend? Cheers. How's the Dunkin' Donuts cruising around? So Matt is a phenomenal guitar player. Dear friend. It almost always has an oversized Dunkin' Donuts coffee. Is it a coffee? What is that drink? Hanging out with him. All right. Okay, so we were talking about... So what do you do as you begin to kind of have a chord progression? As soon as you see something like that with a little chromatic run, you go, all right, there's some sort of modulation that's happening here. And this is going to be our last thing. I got a lesson I got to jump to at 11. I want to have a minute to prep for that. So basically, when I've got a minor, when I've got a chord progression, that has some sort of kind of modal movement, and the tonic chord to start off with is a minor chord. I'll start off just playing minor pentatonic. All right, I added some notes, the chromatic notes. I'm looking for the root. I'm an A. But then when we go here, and ironically, that's that same, that chord I played here. That's an A minor 11. So at that point, I have enough information to be slightly dangerous. All it's saying is like any mode that's got a 1, flat 3, 4, and a flat 7. That could clinically be... What's going on, my man? Great to see you. And thanks, Chris. Hey, Chris. Mike Mitchell. I can also play, that's 1, flat 7, flat 3, 4. So that's Phrygian. I can also play minor. And I also play that's Locrian. It actually flipping sounds great. Now, technically, you would write this as minor 11, no 5, because that allows you to play the Dorian, the Phrygian, the minor, and the Locrian. Since you're saying it has no 5. It has no 5. Poor thing. All right, so that is to say at that point, I'm going to still probably play the minor pentatonic. Then we go to this guy. And that's the natural 6. That's 1. That's the 1. That's the octave. That's the flat 7. That's the 6. And I'm going to be playing that in combination with the flat 3. And the only mode that has a combination of a flat 3 and a natural 6 is the Dorian mode. Started, might have hit a flat 6 in there accidentally. But that combination of that minor triad, all right, every so often, this is kind of the thing about mindful exploration. I just kind of, okay, so there is a talk in mode words. If you can find where the half steps are in the scale, that's where, you know, kind of the things that make things modal. And harmonically, kind of, but not. The real magic is where the triad is. But I just bumped into something that I had to pause because I was like, oh, holy flipping cow. If I take my minor triad in combination with a natural 6. It can only be Dorian. Now that right there, the minor triad and the flat 6, first of all, Dorian's out of there, but because I played the natural 5 and I've got the flat 6, that can either be Phrygian, but as minor, it's a really nice way outline minor, and if I want to outline Phrygian, 1 flat 2 flat 3 5, and I suppose if I wanted to outline the difference between, and by the way, the only mode that's got a 1 flat 2 and a natural 5 is going to be Phrygian. But if I want to outline minor, I kind of need to have both the natural 2 and the flat 6. So I suppose if I wanted to take this concept and say, if I could cloak the minor triad in as few notes as was possible to tell you what mode it's going to be, for Dorian, it's going to be the 1 flat 3 5 and a natural 6. For Phrygian, it's going to be 1 flat 2 flat 3 and 5. Sorry, this is a 1 flat 3 and a 5, so that's included. 1 flat 3 5, 1 flat 3 5 6. That can only be Dorian. 1 flat 2 flat 3 5. That can only be Phrygian. If I want to make it exclusive to minor, I need to go 1 flat 3. 1 2 flat 3 5 flat 6. I play that sequence of notes. It can only be the minor scale. And what's neat about that is we've really been able to. You can play that as an arpeggio, and instantly you're like, I know exactly what mode I'm playing. That's kind of heavy. And again, the for minor, if I wanted to, instead of playing a 5-note arpeggio and reduce it to a 3-note arpeggio, as long as I know I'm in the key of, in this case I'm choosing A minor, right in the middle of the zone there. New thing. Thank you very much. All right. Thank you again, Chris Alexander, because you're going to start it off with this. Okay. Well, I'm diatonic to the major scale, smarty pants. But yes, Matt is a though tangy. So what I'm referring to, thank you very much, is specifically only modes in this case that are diatonic, major Dorian, Phrygian, so on and so forth. All right. So our chord progression. Oh, here he goes. Appreciate it, Matt. Love you, bro. So with that first chord, that A minor. That A minor 11, still a minor, but I'm not. This guy. Oh, what? A minor 11 add 13. No, it's an A minor. A minor 11 add 6, because the 6 is in the first octave. Basically, it's a 1 6 flat 3 and a 4. That's gonna be Dorian. And again, we can go. And we're just all over that. That's 1 flat 3 5 6 1 flat 3 5. And then this guy. Although, okay, that's going to be a right. All right, I'm going to call this A minor 11, A minor 11 add 6, A minor 11 add flat 6, and that basically, and all of those will be no 5. But for this guy, I'm going to play minor. So basically what's happening is I'm starting off with a minor pentatonic, and I'm beginning to add I'm reflecting kind of, if you will, a la what Jimmy Page was doing with it when he went there. So I'm going to interpret that as A minor pentatonic, minor pentatonic, Dorian, minor, I think I went early. I went to Dorian early. By the way, you can go from here. Yeah, I don't want us to go to the Dorian yet. Minor pentatonic. Still minor pentatonic. Dorian. And minor. So on and so forth. But I want to just touch on the idea of using chords. It's the equivalent of kind of going. Using different triads against the bass note there is effectively what I'm doing, and how you approach that when they're not kind of mapped together in a common key, because that is an important part of something you'll potentially encounter where the chords actually aren't in the same key. You're like, holy cow, what do I do now? Right? Okay, hang on a second. All right. Much love right back at you. You know that. All right, Chris, I'm still implementing Airstep, but it does make changing effects, amps, and easier. The app is great to make adjustment. So I have not. So one of the things that short version. Okay, I'm going to get to you in just a moment, Robert. Oh, Robot, excuse me. Robot Shlomo. Sorry, I've called you Robert more times. My apologies to you and the robot. Chris, so the short version is that one of the things that's happening in the background here, first of all, if you notice, this place is getting, and you can't see beyond the field of vision here, but this place is getting tidy because I'm getting ready to do a whole bunch of video production. Actually, I can announce it. I always get into trouble for doing this, but all right, I can tentatively announce it. So there's going to be a series called Amps, Racks, and Rigs. And the plan is that it will be weekly content, and it's going to be on amps, racks, and or rigs, or some combination of them. And the idea is that I kind of did the math. There's like 26 different amps here, and I couldn't do an amp of the week because after about half a year, I'd run out of amps. Or I'd have to go buy some more, and that may not be super popular with the missus. But the other thing is that I also wanted to do a thing that's focused on rigs. So the good folks at IK Multimedia, who've taken phenomenal care of me, have sent me a second Tonex cab. So one of the rigs is going to be around the trio of Tonex pedals. In the demo for the Satriani, the Tonex 1 Satriani edition, they had 3 Tonex 1s on the pedal board, and I was like, that looks really interesting. Where and how would you use that, and why? And the thing is, basically, you can use one to toggle between different amps, another to toggle between different, if you will, kind of front-end effects, and the other to toggle between different time-based effects. So you can, unfortunately, with Airstep TX, actually remember the name this time, Chris, you can control one, but the way Bluetooth works is that it only wants to control one thing at the same time. It's not MIDI, in other words. You can't have separate channels it works on. And hopefully someday Bluetooth will have kind of another layer where you can have multiple Bluetooth channels from a common device and sending different commands to different things. That should happen, but it hasn't happened yet. But the idea of then using that Tonex rig, and so the two Tonex cabs, because, you know, we have two ears. So I believe in playing in stereo when and where possible. And it doesn't have to be radically different. There'll be times that the front of house guy is going to sum your stereo rig to mono, and or he's just going to choose one side or the other. So when playing live, you want to be conscious of kind of the implications of all of that. However, the great thing is, especially in the studio, a lot of the times, you know, you'll hear the guitar work as stereo, either double tracked or otherwise. So the Tonex rig is going to be one of the early on deck ones that I'm very excited about. So in any case, I did watch through some of the video content on the AirStep TX, and it looks awesome. The ability to control it, yes, that app is like, it kind of controls all that stuff that are very difficult to get to with Tonex One without a bunch of like rinky-dinking around. I'm sorry, first of all, it's a pedal that's this big, has one knob and I think 3 push buttons. Like, you know, on a dark stage, getting down on the floor and messing with that. It's you know, you want, the beauty of it is to set and forget it. And one of the other rigs that's going to come, by the way, is of course using a Tonex One in the rig of fill in the blank other monitors, so you can easily get whatever captures you want on there. So it's going to be pretty crazy. All right. Do I do my own setup work? I just started getting that, and thankfully I'm getting a little better at it. Robert, you know, there we go. Thank you. I appreciate that. Right? Come on. I mean, it's somebody's already thinking of it. They're already working on it. Riley, good morning. Great to see you. Hello. How's the guy from Monterey doing? Okay. So the answer is this. First of all, Robot, aka Robert, what guitar do you play? So first of all, one of the most important things you can do is begin to dabble with your own setup work for a couple of reasons. I'm going to grab, but I'm not going to play the pink Strat, but I am going to talk about that, and I am going to reach for this. So my good friends over at Ernie Ball make the Musician's Toolkit, and inside said Musician's Toolkit is a bunch of great tools, including a bunch of Allen wrenches. Apu Ninja, what's going on? Bring back big rack. Okay, there we go. The Edge style triple shock mount 36 space rigs. So the worst part about all of that is, first of all, you can't. It's not super tidy. Hang on a second, but I think you can see. All right, let's see here. Come on, there we go. How about you? Where are you? We gonna be there? B camera. How about C camera? No, that's still doing that darkness thing. Hey, there's the A camera. Or sorry, that's the D camera. Over there, right there, you can see the edge of a rack that's that tall. So, all that to say, get over here. Come on. You. And by the way, I'm doing some adjustments. One of my air steps I've got set up to adjust that. This is one of the drags of Bluetooth also when using it with a computer. Bluetooth only wants to respond to whatever application on a desktop computer is in the foreground. So that's been one of the things I've been trying to map out, is how can I get my Blackmagic switcher so it's in the foreground of one of two of my kind of working computers, so I can then kind of always have that, so it only switches cameras, but the feed comes through the stream, and then I can be doing everything I need to be doing over here. So in any case, Pooh, there is a big rack over there. So, there are some devices like the SD3000, the SPX90, and the whole kind of thing about different racks and the depth of devices and the depth of racks, and the fact that most of the racks that are made these days, if you put your speaker cabinet and then you put the rack down and put your amp on top of that rack, because Riley has been wondering, like, is a combo or head and the cabinet? Almost all of them are made in such a way that it's a slightly shiny and reflective and slippery surface, and it's got these weird kind of nubs that stick up so you can kind of stack the racks. Well, if you're using a single rack and want to put an amp on top of it, it makes much of the time the feet on the bottom of the amp are arguing with where these little things that jut up on the racks are. It's a real problem. Oh, awesome. Oh, that's great. Congratulations. Way to go. I am Doug Doppler Music at Gmail. Please reach out. I would love to connect. Thank you. That sounds awesome, by the way. Paul is amazing. I met Paul when I was just finishing GIT and he was just starting. Amazing guitar player. All right. So, okay, good. So here's the deal. Then I'm not gonna grab these. The short version is, and I've got a lesson that starts in 7 minutes. The most important things you want to be paying attention. We went over this a little while back. Let's see if I can get. Let's go here. How's that? No, that's dark. I've got to fuss with that camera. There we go. This is going to work. All right. So as you look at this guy, right, you not hit the headstock in anything. Your two places that you want to get used to messing around with are here and here. The lower this piece is into the body, the greater the tension on the strings is, which can be a good thing or not, depending. The height of this guy adjusts the overall action, and as you raise it up, much like, if you will, kind of like a bridge, as a Golden bridge, you can see all of a sudden as you look at, it's not going to be the best example, but as you look at that string, you can see it's higher here and kind of goes down there like the thing like on a bridge that would stick up one of the supports. So you want to try and get it, obviously, such that the string is about even across there. Now here's the deal. Where adjusting it, and this is one of the things I've spent a bunch of time with both these Epiphones, and it will, by the way, change with temperature and humidity, so just be aware of that. But the idea is finding the right tension. The interesting thing about a 10, and it's a funny thing, this is nuanced, but one of the great things about spending some time playing with 10s, they have a bigger tension, a greater tension for the most part. So when the pick crosses the string, because the string has a little bit more stiffness to it, the string doesn't have a tendency to bend as much with the pick. Can I get that? Let's do it here. The pick, no, let's do it here. The pick doesn't have, as you cross the string, a 9 has a little bit more give to it before the string passes through. So one of the great things about 10s is it's actually a really, as much as in some ways you've got a little bit more string to deal with. It was one of kind of my concerns about why on kind of my main Flying V's, I've kept them at 9s but use the heavy core rings that have a thicker core, so they behave more like a 10 even though they have the thickness of the 9. I was concerned about how my right hand would react to the difference between a 42 and a 46. And if you think about percentage-wise going up from a 42 to a 46 on the low E string, it's roughly 1/10 of the size of the string, and you can feel that's enough to make a difference. But the thing is, the additional stiffness of the string means that you have, as the pick passes through, especially as you're a little bit softer with the pick, it just crosses the string a little bit easier. So even though it's a stiffer and bigger string, that actually in some ways makes it almost easier to pick. So that's where this string tension actually really matters. So the further you bring this down, the more it creates that tension. Now, Chris Alexander asked a question that I didn't answer. Chris, if you're still here, I'm answering it now. Some folks bring the string around the top of the bridge. In fact, if you look at just about all of the Joe Bonamassa videos when he's playing a Les Paul, he's got the string going around the top, not of the bridge, of the stop bar tailpiece. So that is to say, he strings the string through here and then around the top like that. And that creates even less tension on the string. It means you can use a heavier string, but without it completely being really, really hard to bend on. So that's the other thing, is further you have this down, the more string tension there is as you go to do vibrato and bend. So it's this fine balance between how much string tension you want as you cross the string, which is something people don't talk about a lot, but it's a big deal, and then how much string tension you feel as you go to either use vibrato or you go to do bends. And that there's also kind of that feeling of that looseness with the left hand. Also makes it a little bit, if the string's a little bit looser because there's less tension on it, looser by feel, I should say, it makes it feel a little bit easier to play with the left hand. That is to say, even though we're not pulling the string out of tune, the fact that there's a little bit more give to it means it's a little, it has a slightly more, if you will, slinky feel, right? That's kind of that Ernie Ball, super slinky, so on and so forth. But the idea of being able to adjust that is that. Now, the thing that I'm getting ready to make the big jump for is I'm getting ready to start working with truss rods. And it's always been the sort of thing I'm like, I leave that to professional. Gary Brower, the guy that works on Joe Satriani, Kirk Hammett, Neil Sean, James Hetfield, he's my guitar guy. I'm like, if it needs fixing, I generally bring it to him. But as I've been kind of figuring out going back to my teens when I played Les Pauls, I had a standard, and then I ended up getting a custom. These are guitars that I grew up playing with, and I was always kind of messing with that. In those days, I was trying to get the action as low as possible. Now, that's not the goal. I like a slightly higher action. The last little thing is, and this is it, and then I'm going to have to go. Let me not hit this. Is that the thing about the slight problem? This one's compensated a little bit. I can see is that quite often the curvature of the neck and the curvature of the saddles where they sit, they're not always one-to-one. So what Gary and I are going to experiment with is we're going to either try some slightly different saddles, or what he'll do is he'll file the bottom of the saddle down such that the exact radius of the neck is matched with the exact radius of the bridge. And that way you don't have a high E string that sometimes is a little bit higher comparatively to the feeling of the second string. So that, in combination with making sure that as weather's changing and the tension's changing, you're able to kind of make sure that the neck through the truss rod is kind of sitting in the right place. So I'm about ready to jump in on the truss rod thing, and I'm going to, once I get comfortable with that, I think I'm going to probably spend a lot of time. Hey, it's 11 o'clock. You guys have been fantastic. I want to thank everybody that is here. If this is your first time, thank you so much for hanging out. Feel free every Saturday, 9 a.m. Pacific, to come back, bring your questions. Don't be afraid of interesting. It's looking like Facebook did not. Oh, there's Facebook. Good. It did connect. Don't be afraid about bringing newbie questions. One of the big things that I'm going to be doing in terms of video content, thanks to folks like Griffin, is that I'm going to start a video series called Recording for Newbies, where, and it's not for kind of people who have no clue. It's for people that actually have a clue, but they're new to something. And it's a big deal. All right. Thanks so much. Have a great weekend. I look forward to seeing you next Saturday. Thanks again. Bye for now.